Building a business may feel like a big jump, but OnDeck Small Business Loans can help keep you afloat. With lines of credit up to $100,000 and term loans up to $250,000, OnDeck lets you choose the loan that's right for your business. As a top-rated online small business lender, OnDeck's team of loan advisors can help you find the right business loan to fit your needs. Visit OnDeck.com for more information. Depending on certain loan attributes, your business loan may be issued by OnDeck or Celtic Bank. OnDeck does not lend in North Dakota. All loans and amounts subject to lender approval.
Welcome to the Inspire to Invest podcast, where we're sharing inspiring stories from business owners, entrepreneurs, and real estate investors on the pursuit of wealth and financial freedom. This episode of the Inspire to Invest podcast has been brought to you by Knightsbridge Foreign Exchange. Hey everybody, welcome to Inspire to Invest. I've got Ela Ziembicki from Coachella here with me from Niagara Falls. She is a mindset transformation coach who helps women break through limiting beliefs, reprogram their minds for success, and step into their full potential. Through deep mindset work and high performance habits, she empowers women to level up, whether it's in business, career growth, or navigating major life transitions. Her passion is helping ambitious women stop playing small and create the success and freedom that they truly deserve. So thanks for being here with us today. I know you gave me Elizabeth, but you also go by Ela.
Yes.
Awesome. So thanks for taking time out of your busy day to be with us today. And I guess for anyone that doesn't know you, maybe you can take us back to the beginning and just how you kind of ended up down this path where you're helping people, live the life of their dreams, create their business that's fulfilling to them.
Yeah, absolutely. I just kind of going out of after high school, I went to Toronto to do my schooling. And shortly after that, I was hired by the head office of Walmart Canada in the purchasing department.
Yep.
So my career started off in corporate. And then on the other side of the business, I ended up going to suppliers and vendors that supplied the largest retailers in Canada and the US. So I ventured around about 3 or 4 different companies through my corporate career.
Yeah.
And although I loved it, I was in my 20s, fast-paced life, traveling all over Canada and the US, meeting with buyers. And it was super, super exciting, but highly stressful. And a male-dominated industry also, might I add, which wasn't bad at all. It was very challenging, but worthwhile. And then I settled down and started a family, had a son, and just so happened that we had to move to Texas to support my ex-husband's career. And at that point, because I didn't want to be in a corporate position at that time, in a new country, new setting, it was very hard for me to leave my 1-year-old and start the traveling all over again.
Yeah.
So as many moms and young moms at the time, you kind of struggle through another transition in life, which women go through all the time. They go through transitions, right? And so at that time, I found the world of network marketing, which I mentioned to you before. And, it does have its sometimes the bad rap. However, it can be a fantastic industry to tap into. Yeah. And I tried it and was really successful in my first year. I actually reached the top of the company then.
Now, for someone that doesn't know, can you explain a little bit more about network marketing? Because I think, it's something that some people are aware of, and with influencers, it's getting a little bigger, but the average person may not have any idea what you're talking about.
Yeah, absolutely. It's multi-level marketing, and it just has to do with either a product or a service, and you have a product or service to sell, and you can grow a team in regards to it. Now, there's different commission based on there and different comp plans where you can make money on your individual sales and then also on your team sales. So not only did I have, and I was in the beauty industry at that time for a beauty company. Yeah. And so I joined them, grew a business selling the product through them, and then also growing a team. And I had an organization of over 12,000 women close to the end of my career at that one company. And so it is a business. You are contracted out or a rep. And so you are an independent person and business. However, you are under an umbrella selling their product. So they're all over, and it's been in an industry where women have joined for over 50 years, and people know it as like home parties, like the Tupperware, the Mary Kay. But it's really, really changed in a huge revolution over the last decade, just simply because now you can do it over the internet, and it's called now more social selling
Yeah.
and affiliations and influencers now. Now the industry is slightly changing. However, like I said, it can be very lucrative, but
Can
only
you
if it's
talk
done
about, not
right.
to not to cut you off, but just
Yeah.
you touched on something there, just in terms of how lucrative it can be. Can you give some examples of what that could look like based on your own sales or as you start to bring other people into the business? Like, what would your take home have been at the height of like 12,000 people behind you?
Yeah, absolutely. So you can actually make, so if you do have a team and start making it, having a team, the various comp plans obviously do vary from company to company. And you could be making anything from your own sales of $1,000 to $5,000 a month. If you're an influencer and have a larger following, you can be making tens of thousands of dollars. There can't be any income claims in the United States. They're very, very strict on that in regards to network marketing. But there are people that are making $1 million per year and higher if you
Yeah.
do have large teams. And it doesn't necessarily have to be, thousands and thousands of people. It's about how many people are active within your community in order to bring in the sales.
Yeah.
It is like an 80-20 rule where you have 20% doing 80% of the business. And then
Yeah.
people are coming in and not really doing things with their business. Some people use it as a side hustle, and then some people who are great at it and have that mindset and that confidence that they can make money in it can seriously make money. So it can honestly vary from anything from $5,000, which people don't even make that right now in
Yeah.
their day-to-day jobs, up to tens of thousands of dollars per month. And as a top earner in these companies, that's how lucrative it can be.
Yeah, I know
But
someone
again, you
that's
can't
in
make
that
any
in another
claims.
space, and it's more subscription based, and it's an educational platform for crypto. But this one particular person, he started out thinking, I want to just make an extra 500 to $1,000 a month, and now he's making like $10,000 US a month. That doesn't even include his trading, and his mentor makes about $3 million a year. Like last year, he made 3 million bucks passively,
Yeah.
just on the membership because you bring in 100 people, those 100 people bring in 500 people, and you're making $25, say, a month off of each of them from this subscription. And it's something that I think people, because of the volatility of the industry, people want the alerts, they need the education, things are always changing. So they do keep these residual memberships, and that's kind of what creates those passive income streams, right? So I think it can be very powerful if you structure it the right way and it's something that you are very passionate about and you can build your connections.
Oh, for sure. And do your research. That's the other thing. A lot of people join their friends because they want to join their friends, and their friends have provided them an opportunity. However, if you look at it from a business standpoint, which I always looks at numbers, I come from the mentality of just a business mindset and numbers.
Yeah.
And so you really have to do your research, because some companies are more on the front end, which
Yeah.
that means it's on memberships or subscriptions. And then there's other companies that are more on the back end in regards to sales and so forth. So it's whatever you feel comfortable with and what you align with, right? Because there are certain companies and certain people out there that will create this lavish lifestyle and project that and show that.
Yeah.
However, that's not exactly what's bringing in the money or what they're actually promoting. And so they're
Yeah.
promoting a lifestyle versus the services and the products. So it's a touch and go kind of industry. And that's why sometimes it has a bad rap, because it's almost projecting something of a lifestyle that most people can't acquire.
Yeah. And you need to be
Um,
authentic to yourself, right? Like I
yeah.
think at the end of the day, everyone will find the strategy that works for them. But, I think that lends itself well into the next question, just how you transitioned from, this space over into coaching. Like how
Yeah.
did you make that jump?
Very good question. And it's because even though I had the mindset that I had the confidence in order to do it, I saw my mentor, who at that time was easily making over $10,000, and she just joined the business. And so I said, okay, if she can do it, I can do it. And this was something I actually did not even know. I joined someone who I had seen through social media and was intrigued. She taught me what she did, and that's how I kind of blew up. Now, the way I transitioned into coaching is because when I started my business in 2014, by that point, I had grown to the top of the company within 8 months. And then after, the limiting beliefs and the self-doubt started to arise. And here's where that happened. When I was trying to teach people what I did, some people didn't have the capacity or the mindset in order to get to that point. So I felt like I hit a wall. I felt like my leadership, even though I had been corporate and had the skill set through like even Dale Carnegie and all those things that I went through those programs, I felt that I didn't have the capacity in leadership. So I actually went and was mentored by John Maxwell's team.
Yeah.
And John Maxwell is a leadership coach, one of the best in the world. And so I took his program and was certified through that. And what I felt is that now I was getting the equipment in order to help coach leaders within my organization. Yeah. And so it built that confidence back up, because what happened at that point is I ran on my confidence and my mindset subconsciously, unconsciously. I was able to get there because I knew how to do it. But subconsciously, my limiting beliefs started setting in. Because I wasn't getting certain leaders to a point, I then started thinking, okay, am I the right coach? Am I the right leader? How do I get them to this point? Like, I felt like I was dragging people instead of inspiring people and making.
It's like when the saying, like, you can lead a horse to water, you can't force them to drink, right? So you can give them all the tools, but if they choose not to use them, then what are you going to do?
Exactly. And so coaching became a huge part of my life. I could do amazing presentations in front of buyers. I knew that I could speak and had been speaking for a while. But now the coaching came into that play. And working with women, which my organization was primarily women because we were in the beauty industry, right? But it was such an organic transition for me because now I was working with women in regards to their mindset. And I knew that mindset was a huge part. Leadership is also, but logistically and strategically, people only need about, in their mindsets, only about 5% strategy and logistics. 95% of your success comes from your mindset. Yeah. And so after John Maxwell, I, kept on building my team, got to the 12,000 people that were in my organization. Now, mind you, like it is like a sandbox or a sand type of structure where, you can be feeding people in, but it's falling out just as fast as you're feeding it. And so at one point, I just decided during COVID, and a lot of things have been changing in the industry of network marketing, I decided to leave and then just focus on my coaching. And so my coaching from that aspect was not only for business women, but women in profession, like any type of profession, or even women who are going through transitions in life, like I mentioned, right? We all go through transitions, whether it's out of a divorce, through a life change, having children, going through the thought process of I need change and I'm stuck and I need to get out of this, or work-life balance. Yeah. So I started working with women in this whole transition of mindset. First, I started in my coaching program and it was called the Beyond Business Maker, where I focused on 3 pillars: mindset, making money, because a lot of women struggle, and people in general struggle with money capacity. They hit a ceiling. And what I found in network marketing also, they hit a ceiling because they only believe and their relationship with money is not a good one. Yeah. And so they cap themselves off. And the last part was marketing. How can you drive your business and create an impact through your story, your mission, and your vision through social media? How are you marketing yourself, right? Are you sharing your story? Are you being relatable to other people? And are you actually providing benefits to their not their strengths, but what they're struggling with? Yeah. So that was my transition to coaching. And I love it because working with women and people in general on a close relationship and guiding them through the reprogramming of the mind is so gratifying because it's leaving a lasting impact in their confidence and dissecting those limiting beliefs that are holding them back. And when we talk about investing in general, right, a lot of people will not make investments or won't take those deals or those risks because there's fear that sets in, whether it's the fear of failure, the fear of money and losing it all, the fear of capabilities, hearing the naysayers behind them that have no experience in those aspects, but they're taking all of their opinions and taking it to heart. So It has been a wonderful transition, and I love working with people in general just to change that mindset for them to get that success or whatever success looks like to them.
Yeah, no, I can completely resonate with that. I mean, I ran my own business for almost 20 years, which I'd shared, and then I transitioned into a new industry, and it just felt like my past experience is obsolete because I couldn't say, well, I've sold 100 houses compared to the leading realtor in our neighborhood.
Yeah.
Well, I planned events all across the country. I've built like fabricated things and had thousands of people working for me, but it's almost like that didn't matter because I can't say this, right? So it was just an odd experience, just when you kind of come in, and I didn't, it's not lack of confidence, but I'm working towards those other things. So I can understand how those transitions really take a toll on people, right? Because it's almost like you have to prove yourself all over again. You have to redefine your value and, come in with a different value prop and a different lens and stuff like that, right? So I can see why people could need that, especially women, whether they're coming back into the workforce after, maybe rearing their children in their younger years and stuff like that. So I definitely can see that value. But on that note, we're going to take a really brief break for a word from our sponsors, and we'll be right back. Parents, you could be overpaying by thousands of dollars if you're sending your kids to study abroad. Think about it. Tuition, food, accommodation, books, it all adds up so fast. For a Canadian student in the US, that could be well over $100,000. And guess what? The big banks sneak in 2 to 3% on every dollar that you exchange. So what do? Here's the fix. Knightsbridge FX offers you better rates and no hidden fees. You could save hundreds, if not thousands of dollars on your kids' education. That's more money for their future, less money for the big banks. And that sounds like a win to me. So if you've got a child who's planning to study abroad, make sure you check out Knightsbridge FX. You could be saving a huge chunk of change. Inspired to Invest is proud to support the Beyond Success program. In today's complex world, it's absolutely crucial for our youth to learn how to take charge of their financial future. We believe that every young person deserves access to accurate, practical financial information. Designed to bridge the gap, the Beyond Success program leverages a comprehensive educational bootcamp to equip young minds with essential financial literacy skills. At Beyond Success, it's not just about teaching financial literacy, it's also about fostering a foundation for a prosperous and empowered future. Join us. Together we can build a brighter financial future for the next generations. Join us. Together we can build a brighter financial future for the next generations. Thanks again for following along with this episode of Inspired to Invest. In addition to real estate, investing, and running my own brand experience agency for 18 years, I also published a book called The Accidental Entrepreneur in October of 2021. This is my story, and it chronicles how I turned tragedy into triumph to embrace my destiny in entrepreneurship. If you're interested in picking up a copy, you can find the link at serenahomesrealtor.com, and you can also find my link tree with all of the retailers in the details below. Thanks again for your support. Hi, everybody. Welcome back to Inspired to Invest. I've got Ela Ziembicki here with me, and she's talking about how she moved over from corporate and multi-level marketing into coaching and helping women basically redefine their value and mastering their mindset so that they can achieve everything that they want to achieve in life and in business. Now, in terms of some of my questions, what would you say is one of your biggest successes to date and why?
It's taking people through their transitions. Honestly, it's creating that impact on people and working with them one-on-one. That's probably my greatest accomplishment. We can talk about, network marketing in my corporate career, but the gratification and the biggest success for me is working with people.
Yeah. And I really believe like we rise by lifting others, right? So I think there's something really fulfilling in that, knowing that you're helping, whatever quantity of women it is, kind of achieve those things.
It is very hurtful for me, and it brings me a lot of emotions because besides the success, I've had a lot of struggles, and working with women that have been going through struggles themselves and then seeing them overcome those things in order to create new goals, new transitions, new priorities in their life. We were just talking about women who have new children and a new family. Sometimes after having a child, you start reassessing your priorities in life in general. Yeah. And so walking with these women in this journey and breaking down those barriers in order for them to now create a new path and a new journey is the biggest gratification for me.
Yeah.
So it's definitely something that I thrive on, and it's something that is definitely my purpose in life, and I take that very, very seriously. Yeah.
Now, obviously, I'm sure it didn't always go smoothly when you transition from one thing to the next. It goes without saying. But when you think about things like the challenges and the obstacles that you've faced, kind of as you've now shifted into this role as coach, can you talk a little bit about what you've faced kind of moving into this new role in the last, say, 5 years?
Yeah, absolutely. So what most people, and this is what I feel and what I have heard through clients, is that personal things get in the way. A lot of personal things.
Yeah.
So it's about juggling the life that you have and balancing it, right? And let's just be honest, it's very hard to balance and juggle. So with that, I find that my biggest struggles and obstacles were personal. They were a lot of personal of what I was going through, the circumstances, although they might have been temporary.
Yeah.
We will always face roadblocks. We will always face life's challenges, things that will be thrown at us at any point in our life. It
Yeah.
can be health, it can be family, it can be loss of a job as you're trying to do a side hustle.
Yeah.
So those obstacles will always be coming at us at any point, and they show up and they pop out. And what we have to learn is how we react to those things and how do we persevere through that. And that also has to do with those limiting beliefs, that self-doubt, right? Because as something is thrown at us, let's just say health, right? Health is wealth, number one, right? And let's just say something comes up in health. You have to then take a step back, reassess everything, and see what the priority is at that point. If it is an investment or a business deal that you need to make, that might have to be put on the back burner for a short period of time, but in order to take care of the priority then. But it can't be just taken back on a back burner for long term.
Yeah.
You have to pick yourself up very, very quickly. And that's where resilience comes into play. So yes, we are always going to fall. We are going to have failures. That's all part of success, but it's how fast and how consistent can you get back to your journey and to your goals.
Yeah.
100%. I see that with a lot of women. And so personally, whether it's children, things like we are jugglers and multitaskers to the fullest, where men do one task at a time, one deal at a time, and they're done, right? They go to the next one, where women are constantly juggling everything. And it can be extremely overwhelming. It can be extremely overwhelming for a woman in business, a woman that has a family, who has an extended family, maybe taking care of their parents now. Yeah. So we all go through these life transitions, and it really has to do with how do you pick yourself back up? Okay, I've fallen. It might be in a failure at this point, or an obstacle I have to get over. Yeah. But it's how fast you get back up and how you persevere and keep your eye on your goal in order to achieve it. And I truly believe when I'm working with any of my clients is creating a goal and a purpose that aligns within the next 6 to 12 months. Yeah. Because if we don't have a purpose or a goal, then we're going to stay complacent and stay in the same rut or being stuck in our life during that moment. And so we always have to have goals in order to achieve them, in order to reach for them, for that growth, and to create that confidence within us to make these amazing decisions, or even investments, or even in real estate, or women in business, or anything along those lines. So
I can see how that's really challenging. Like, I have a 5-year-old, and there's been all these crazy things that have happened in the last year, but it's almost like you need to, as a mother, compartmentalize, right? Because I'm not going to just unleash this on her. And yes, it's been really stressful, but you have to kind of be like, okay, I'm going to try to work through this. We're trying to find solutions, push things forward. But then when she comes home from school or it's bedtime, like, I'm trying to really focus on being present and be the best mom that I can be during that window of like 3:30 to 7:30, right? Because it's not fair to her that these other things are happening, right? And we're just trying to insulate the family and protect things in that way. And I mean, I think can't control what's happening, but you can learn from them and you can control how you react to it. And I think it's just trying to be positive and proactive and push the needle forward. But it's something that, it was through decades of working as an entrepreneur that kind of have led me down that path, right? And not everyone has necessarily had those experiences, so maybe they need a little bit of extra help. Now, in terms of the craziest thing that's ever happened to you as a business owner, what would you say that would be? And maybe you can just add how you kind of went through that experience.
The craziest thing, um, I can talk about my most exciting things, that's for
Sure.
sure. Being a business owner has brought so many different opportunities. And so even in network marketing, it was the most exciting times were at the top of the company and amongst like-minded individuals, leaders within the industry, traveling and enjoying each other's company. Those were probably the most exciting times. I really haven't had any of the craziest times, but being a business owner and doing it on your own, in your own means is pretty incredible because you can look back at all your accomplishments and be like, okay, this is what got me here.
Yeah.
The perseverance, the resilience, all of those things.
Yeah.
So it led to many exciting journeys and exciting times.
Yeah.
I had some great trips with great people, and those are the long lasting memories that I will truly keep within my heart for the rest of my life.
Yeah.
They were extremely memorable and extremely exciting. So I would say that was probably my highest points in my career.
Awesome. Yeah, I always like to ask just because I've heard of things that, someone, for example, signed a lease on a building and then we went right into COVID and like, all these
Yeah,
plans that can really get derailed by things that nobody saw coming, right? And
yeah.
how you kind of pivot and find solutions in those crazy situations. Now, in terms of things like advice, what would you say is the best advice that you've ever given? And maybe something that's also been passed along to you?
So the biggest form of advice and quote is investing in yourself. That's the biggest investment. If you are not continually investing and growing and personally developing, you're leaving things on the table. I think life is not meant to live in our comfort zone. I believe that taking risks and putting time and investment in yourself is super important. And that can be for women is self-care, right? Taking the time. I keep on speaking on moms because I am one and now a blended family of four, that sometimes in business and with your children, you do need to take the time. So I take time in my day to go to the gym every single day, put time into my investment. I call it the millionaire morning, where I clearly keep my mind intact and optimal, meaning that I do gratitude journal, I am statements, affirmations, read out my goals everywhere I go. And this keeps my mind absolutely focused. So investing in myself and putting out the time and carving it out on a daily basis is a non-negotiable for me.
Yeah.
So many people will say, I do not have the time. And it only has to do with what you prioritize. You can always carve out the time. Time is not lost, right? So you can always carve out that time. And so I make it a non-negotiable. I've been doing this for years since COVID,
Yeah.
and it's game changer. And I highly suggest, and the biggest advice for people is to invest in themselves, especially
Yeah.
women,
Yeah.
to take that time for themselves so they can be optimal, not only for themselves, for their business, for their place of work, for their kids. If you're happy and you're strong minded and
Yeah.
at your optimal mindset and physical peak,
Yeah.
the sky's the limit.
Yeah, yeah, no, absolutely. Now, in terms of things like what's next for you, what would you say is your financial freedom goal, and kind of where do you feel like you're at on that journey?
Yeah, so I am on a huge rise in scaling my business this year in many different facets. Besides the coaching, I'm coming out with a empowerment women's merchandise line that's going to be for loungewear, that's going to have empowering sayings on it. Expanding into also a podcast in future. And then my goal is millions. And with that being said, it's not only for my purpose, it's to leave an impact, but essentially to fund philanthropy. I have gone through many different obstacles and roadblocks in my life. through a crazy divorce, still going through legal system right now. And I want to be able to provide for women who may not have those resources that they need through trying times or transitions. So giving back to the community is my ultimate goal. There's a financial standpoint there, but it's in order to provide for my philanthropy that I'd love to really hone in on and give my time to. So even though I do my own service now, I do want to give back to women in general to help build their mindset through obviously coaching, but also through workshops that I want to provide for them. And then in the end, for charities and foundations that give back to women, whether it's through abuse, through domestic violence, it could be women that are in shelters or anything along those lines. So that's essentially the impact that I want to leave for myself and my kids, and show that to them, and them know that their mom did everything in her power to show up and make an impact on other people's lives.
I love that. Now, obviously, the name of this podcast is Inspired to Invest. So I always like to ask my guests if they have a particular quote that really motivates or inspires them.
Yeah, it would be the one in regards to Warren Buffett. And the best investment you can make is in yourself. And that's Warren Buffett. I stand by that. It's my favorite quote. And I say it every single day because it's not selfish to put time into yourself. And the best decisions you'll make is because you're confident in what your thought process is, right? You'll be able to make those risk-taking investments or investments in other things. It doesn't necessarily have to be even real estate. It can be investing in many different facets. So that is the quote that I have to say is my favorite, and the one that I live by for sure.
Yeah, and I mean, I think it's really about building a strong foundation, right? Is what it comes down to. Now, for anyone that wants to learn more about your coaching business or just wants to connect with you, where can they find you?
Absolutely. So you can find my newly launched website on coachella.co. So Coach Ela, ELA.co. You can find me all over social media, which is how I built my businesses in the first place, through Instagram at Coach Ela, on Facebook at Coach Ela, and LinkedIn also. So I love sharing a whole bunch of content that is out there. So you can find me on there and find tons of content on it.
Great. So we'll include all that in the show notes below. Of course, thank you for taking time out of your busy schedule to be with us for today. For anybody that is watching or listening, if you've enjoyed this episode, make sure that you like, comment, and subscribe, and you followed along on social at Inspired to Invest Podcast. And remember, when you invest in yourself, the sky's the limit. Thanks again. Thank you to Knightsbridge Foreign Exchange for bringing you this episode of Inspired to Invest. The views represented on this podcast are for general information only and does not constitute investment or other professional advice or an offering of securities. The host and guests featured on Inspired to Invest make no representations as to the performance of any particular investment. Should you decide to make an investment, you are responsible for conducting your own review and analysis. It is recommended that you obtain independent legal, accounting, and tax advice from licensed professionals.